Hi, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we will be taking another look at the Brand Inquisitor. Behind me you can see this is some of the footage from before the patch, but after the patch I can pretty much guarantee that our damage is going to be quite a bit less. Just like a lot of builds, however, it was enough to steer me away from it, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, I will be going with a different starter build this league, not the Brand Inquisitor like I mentioned earlier, and I just felt like a video talking about that was warranted. Also, I wanted to give you guys the paste bin for the path of building, just in case you guys wanted to play around with it and see if you could get it to work for you. Let's go ahead and check it out. Alright, and here is the path of building for the Inquisitor. Now, I want to say right off the bat that the Inquisitor is still a great option. I'm not saying that it's bad to use this league or anything like that, even as a league start. And the items that I'm using on this character are very, very low tier. That was actually intentional. Personally, I prefer to use builds at league start that don't really need a big gear investment in the beginning, and I like to know that I can at least handle through yellow maps just fine with my league start and not have to spend too much time on grinding or searching for, you know, higher level gear. That being said, this character would be hard. It would be struggling a bit getting just into maps, in my opinion, and it would have to do with the elemental ailment nonsense that we have to, you know, go through in order to get some kind of immunity or defensive layer there. Also, the changes that have happened to Consecrated Ground will affect the build in a big way on top of the Diamond Flask that we're losing. So it's just some really interesting changes there that I don't really like. I think they're good changes overall. It's just for Inquisitor start, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be doing something else, something that I can, you know, a little bit easier scale into maps. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the skills that we're using here. And I wanted to show just how big the nerfs are and why our damage is relatively low, lower than what it would have been. And so the skills that we have: Swift Brand, Inspiration, Energy Leech, Consecrated Effect, and Increased Critical Strike Damage. I was actually using Hypothermia, and I took it off because this skill got a buff, and Hypothermia pretty much got trash. So, we might actually, in the full build, you would probably maybe use something else, I'm not sure. But this actually is adding quite a bit of DPS, and this is basically the power of the buff that it got. So, this is actually accurate, even though it says level 33 on it. Also, Consecrated Effect got a nerf, basically everything got nerfed. And so, you know, this is actually what you're going to be dealing with. They're about going to be level 5 and 8 gems now at full level. So this would be level 20. This is the power you're going to be seeing on 3.15. The other thing I wanted to point out is that, you know, Flame Dash is now not on Arcane Surge. And, I mean, I have an Arcane Surge here for the Steel Skin. This is mostly probably just going to be for like the mana regen, because Arcane Surge completely lost any cast speed to it. So you can see, you know, it would normally be giving us a damage boost, but yeah, and a pretty big one at that. But no, we cannot use Arcane Surge in 3.15, so I've disabled it here. And I don't have Smoke Mine anymore. I took that off. I did work in Ice Bite and Power Charge on critical into an Orb of Storm setup. This is actually going to get us Frenzy Charges and Power Charges. Let's go ahead and take a look at the calculations here. I want to draw your attention in right away to a big one for us, which is this Consecrated Ground one. Now, enemies will not be having the 100% increased critical strike chance on enemies with the Consecrated Ground, but I still have it checkmarked, and the reason is because we are going to be using a Diamond Flask in 3.15, and even though Diamond Flask doesn't make your chances lucky to crit, you still get a 100% increased critical strike chance. The other reason we still need this checkmarked is because of our Ascendancy and because of Zealotry with the Watcher's Eye. The reason is because we get increased damage taken to enemies when they're standing on consecrated ground, and we get that on the same thing on the Watcher's Eye if we have Zealotry affecting us, which we do. So we still need to account for that, and this is the best way to do it, because our damage would go down substantially if we take it off, and I think it's appropriate. I think it's pretty close to accurate. The other thing is that we do have the power charges, and we do have the frenzy charges. We could take the frenzy charges off if we're just trying to calculate boss damage, so that's something that you could look at there. And then we do have low life now. And I'm going to go ahead and show how and why we decided to work low life into the build. So the main way that we're doing it is that we are using Petrified Blood, and we are also using a shield now, which is Prism Guardian. Prism Guardian gives us the use of another aura, essentially. So we get to use Wrath, and we get to use a shield, and we get to go low life. The reason it's important that we use a shield is actually because of Arcane Swiftness. We needed to work in a way to get the Elemental Ailment Avoidance, and this is how we're doing it. So we have Arcane Swiftness, and then we are anointing Crystal Skin down here, and we crafted onto our gloves Avoidance as well, and our helmet. So with all of these changes, we now have over 100% chance to avoid elemental ailments, which means that we're pretty much not going to have to worry about the flash changes too much at all. And we get to keep this DPS, which is over 1 million. So, I mean, realistically, not too bad for this really, really rough patch that we were dealt this league. So, anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our final thoughts on the build. My final thoughts on the 3.15 patch notes and the Stormbrand Inquisitor in general is just that, Inquisitor is still a great option to use. I think it works better in the late game than it would in the early game when you have a little bit more currency to invest in some higher damage options for the class. I also think Stormbrand didn't really get any nerfs. However, all of the support gems did that support it, and, Arcane Surge and all these other things. Of course, you can't get around that no matter what skill you use. So you just have to find one that works for you. And in this case, I'm getting way more excited for traps than I am about brands. And so I think I might do some kind of a Saboteur Seismic Trap thing, and we'll have to see how that works. I don't know that much about Seismic Trap, but I'm really excited for this league. I think it is going to get a lot of people out of their comfort zone, trying new things, and I think that's a good thing. So anyway, if you guys did like the video, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this content, and if you want to see more videos from me in the future about 3.15 and Path of Exile.